So is Death on the Nile worth the 4K Blu-ray, or are you good just streaming it on Disney Plus? Well, let's talk about it. What is up, everybody? I am Mason from the Mockbuster YouTube channel, and thank you for clicking on another 4K review of mine. Getting the hang of these things, you know, I have a system right now. So so Death on the Nile, the sequel to Murder on the Orient Express. I did enjoy the first film, and I quite enjoyed this second film. Not the best movie, but I love murder mystery noir type Agatha Christie films, so I did eat this up with a plate of spaghetti. But is it, you know, the best movie ever? No. But you know, as every reviewer says, we're not going to talk about the movie. We're going to talk about the 4K transfer. Let's start off with the tech specs. So this is a 2160p 4K Blu-ray. Now this was shot on 65mm, thankfully. I love movies made on film, and it does have a 4K digital intermediate. But unfortunately, it is in 239:1, so you are gonna get those black letter bars. It doesn't have that very, like, 65mm. There's like very little black letter bars, but this is cropped down to your normal like cinema standard bars. But I don't know what you'd call it. But the audio formats, there is a 7.1 Dolby Atmos track, as well as a DVS 2.0 digital Dolby Digital. What's weird is that the French is a 5.1 Dolby Digital, but the Spanish is a 7.1 Dolby Digital Plus. So I guess that's that. So to preface, I haven't seen the Murder on the Orient Express 4K, so I don't know whether to compare that. I need to check that out soon, because I actually really enjoy this 4K transfer. We are talking about three criterias. We're going to be talking about image quality, so basically the 4K sharpness, the HDR, as well as the audio. So starting off with the image quality. Now, like Christopher Nolan, Kenneth Branagh, he's a proponent of shooting movies on film, especially big, large format 65mm, and this 4K transfer just revels in the fact that this was filmed on large format 65mm. It just looks absolutely stunning. But again, this is cropped 65mm. It still looks good, but I feel like if they didn't crop it down, the extra detail with having more screen space would have been very, very needed. Again, but I don't feel like I'm losing out while having the crop. It could have been an added bonus, but it doesn't take away really. You know, for being a movie made on film, there is grain, but the grain structure is very smooth. Not like there's DNR over it, there's still grain, but for grain haters, you will be pleased. There is a bit, you know, it is very little. It's not obtrusive though, so it is still a very clean and sharp 4K transfer. So grain haters, this might be you might want to look into this, but unfortunately it is very sharp and very clean. There are CG elements though that look a bit wonky. You know, things like fake fog, certain CG elements in the background, not background, but certain like CG elements look very obvious, like very painfully obvious that it's there. But you know, certain things look okay. You know, there's certain CG elements in the background that work really well, especially that being that they're mixing practical and CG elements, so that works really well. But it's just very obtrusive, like very like, wow, you can tell this is very CG, especially when it's being contrasted with the practical effects and how sharp and clean it looks compared to like the CG elements. It really sticks out like a sore thumb, but details look absolutely stunning. Close-ups, everything, you know, because this movie is a murder mystery. Details in the face, like whether someone's sweating because they're nervous because they killed somebody, or like whether they're crying, you know, all those things look really good. You know, there is stunning detail and it is a full of depth. It has a, you know, three-dimensional feel to it. This doesn't feel like a flat transfer. You know, this has a this transfer pops out to you. It looks really good. You know, if it wasn't for a little bit of a wonky CG, this would be damn near demo quality in my opinion. You know, facial features are full of detail. Costume details and textures are on full display. You know, this movie has amazing cinematography, and this you know, with this 65mm and the 4K digital intermediate, it just supplements it very well. This is a great 4K image quality. Next is going to the HDR, and the HDR is also really good. You know, black levels are inky black without crushing detail. Now to preface, I am using a 65-inch 4K OLED C1, the LG C1, so that could add to it. But you know, this has, you know, I've seen 4Ks with gray black levels. This is not the case, even though there is shadow detail and there is like shades of black levels. Like there's shades of black, so they're going to be very dark black, and there may be you know, a grayish type black, just, you know, because maybe it's like black clothing or something. But it is inky black. You're not going to get gray blacks, so that's a good thing. Also, this is an HDR 4K. This kind of does include, like, you know how a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like 4Ks because it's too dark. This isn't really the case, but it is darker than the 1080p Blu-ray. But it doesn't have that under contrasted feel like certain things like Terminator, or like especially with the Pirates of the Caribbean, that 4K, it just looks very dull. This is not the case. The colors look absolutely great, especially, you know, where it takes place. I was kind of scared because it's in Egypt, so I'm like, oh, it's just gonna be a bunch of grays, not grays, but a bunch of beiges. But there is good levels of shades of beige, darker beige, lighter beige. But things like the sky looks absolutely beautiful, because there's a lot of scenes where it takes place during dusk. So you're gonna get that very deep, rich blue, but also, you know, when it's, you know, because it's still from, you know, it's the middle of Egypt, so you're gonna have some nice blues, as well as some, you know, hues of orange and red. It looks absolutely amazing. The dusk looks great. You know, and one of the biggest problems with the 1080p, because I checked both the 1080p as well as the 4K stream and the 4K Blu-ray, because this does have HDR10 Dolby Vision, so this looks great. The 1080p Blu-ray is way over contrasted. Everything looks like really weird. It does look a bit picturesque-y, but like in a bad way. But thankfully for the 4K Blu-ray, it doesn't really have these problems. But like, it doesn't look dull. It looks realistic. The colors still have vibrancy to it, especially, you know, skin tones, and, you know, when it comes to liveliness and like facial features, you're still gonna see like the redness within people's faces, especially if they're, you know, nervous or whatever. That's especially one of the biggest thing, especially when people are lying. You can tell within their face, and the HDR does a really good job when it comes to those certain aspects. So yeah, the colors are still vibrant without over contrasting. It has a realistic vibrancy to them. Another great thing about this transfer is it does have a Dolby Atmos track, which sounds amazing because this movie has a terrific sound design. Like that opening World War I scene is absolutely amazing. I mean, there is subwoofer testing, explosions, there is gunshots that whiz across your speakers, which gives it this very chaotic war feeling, which it's trying to portray. So the sound design and the Dolby Atmos track really elevate the film to make it feel better and to give it more of that cinematic experience because of how good it is, because it really pulls you into the scene. You know, there is so much depth to the audio, not only from dialogue, but the little sounds that, you know, create a full scene. Things like that are so well crafted. I mean, whether it's like boots marching on wet mud, the soothing trickle of rain hitting puddles compared to hitting like a tarp roof, or like the mud or someone's jacket, like those little things you can really tell a difference from, and that Dolby Atmos track just, you know, supplements it really nicely. Like even the differences between a man wearing, you know, dress shoes walking on cobblestone compared to someone wearing high heels, you know, click-clacking on waxed floorboards. You can really tell the difference. The sound design is absolutely amazing, full of detail, and the Dolby Atmos track is so good. Also, the soundtrack is really good. You know, there is certain scenes where it's full of bass, especially when cues are being hit off. There's that very eerie sound when, you know, things are getting down and dirty. You know, it just, the sound design, the soundtrack itself is amazing. Audio cues have a full array. This isn't like a lifeless mono track where it's just there. You know, you're gonna have sounds from here, wishing and washing away. It's just absolutely amazing. So what would I give Death on the Nile 4K Blu-ray? Is it worth the upgrade, especially being that there is a Dolby Vision stream, I think, or HDR stream on Disney Plus? One, yes, because, you know, I originally thought that there was going to have the full aspect ratio, which it doesn't. Also, if you have slight internet problems, at least for me, Disney Plus has been very wonky. A little bit of film grain that there is there. But it looks a bit obvious on the digital stream because of the it's not too bad, but there is some pixelation on it. But either way, this is a great, if you like it, still looks good on the digital stream. It's just really good. Let's say the 4K stream is good and the 4K Blu-ray is really good. If you like this movie, I recommend it. I mean, like, the movie itself was like a 6 out of 10. But the 4K Blu-ray for me is like, ooh, it's like an 8.5 out of 10, leaning more towards 9 than 8. So yeah, that was my review. I would say image quality is a 9, HDR is a 9, and the audio is a, I don't know, I would say maybe image quality is 8 out of 10. One, because CG elements, although, you know, it's very sharp, the CG elements at some points kind of take away from the immersiveness of the film, and the cropped 65 millimeters is a you know, a big sin on my aspect. So I would give it like an 8. HDR looks great. I give that a 9, and audio again is a 9. I loved it. So yeah, 8.5, leaning more towards 9 than 8. And yeah, so the main reason why I kind of notched it down was mainly because of the crop, not IMAX, but it's close to, you know, 65 millimeter. It's supposed to have a, you know, bigger aspect ratio, which it doesn't have. CG elements. And honestly, it wasn't, you know, if you're into those type of movies, you'll love it. But if you're just trying to watch a fun movie, blah, 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 you're not really going to get that. So that's why it's an 8.5 for me. But it is still a great 4K transfer, near demo quality. And yeah, you know, I love these transfers from film, especially large format 65 millimeter. Things like No Time to Die. And I think The Last Duel is the same way. But those films look absolutely great. And I think those are also, I think the other one's MGM. But yeah, so that was my opinions. Let me know down below, have you seen Death on the Nile? What do you think about the movie? What do you think about the 4K Blu-ray? So yeah, if you're a fan of the movie, I highly recommend you upgrade from the stream to the 4K, because it is definitely worth it in my opinion. But if you're not that big of a fan, the 4K stream will do just enough for you, just to understand what the movie is about. I recommend it because I really like the movie, and I think the 4K transfer looks really good. But yeah, again, that was my opinions. Thanks so much for watching the video, man. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more 4K content. If you like physical media in general, Blu-ray, DVDs, 4K, I do hunting videos, pickup videos, more reviews, and yeah, all of that stuff. So thanks so much for watching another video of mine. I am Mason from the Mockbuster YouTube channel. Please have yourself a good day, night, evening, afternoon, morning. Whenever you're watching this, please stay safe and God bless. Cheers, guys, and long live physical media. Peace out.